Spending extended periods of time indoors due to emergency measures imposed to combat the COVID-19 pandemic may have an impact on our mental and emotional health. How can we cope mentally and emotionally during this trying time? Carol Roberts poses this question and more to psychiatrist Maisha Emmanuel.
Today on C19 TV, we're going to have a chat with psychologist Maisha Emmanuel. Why are we having this chat? Because as we move further into stage 3 of our management of the COVID-19 pandemic, as people remain more and more indoors, as the news becomes more dire, and not just locally, but regionally and internationally, you have to ask yourself, well, what effect does this have on all of us, emotionally and psychologically? So I want to say good afternoon via Skype to Maisha Emmanuel. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Carol. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I am doing okay. I'm managing. So far, so good.
How long have you been indoors and working from at home?
Well, actually, I've been indoors longer than most other people because I was sick last week and I did not want to go to my office sneezing on other people. So I've been in for about a week and a little bit now.
All right. So you heard my intro. The entire world almost has ground to a halt. Everybody is indoors. You're hearing terms like shutdown, lockdown, of course, pandemic, social distancing, now physical distancing, new ways of living, new terms with which to literally come to grip. And we are all still expected to be normal, even though it's a new normal. Let's start there. How is that likely to affect us psychologically?
Right, so it's important what you said about it being a new normal because we all strive on routine. We like to do what we like to do. You know, Monday to Sunday, we know exactly what we are going to be doing. I think now, though, we are forced to create what will be our new normal, and we don't know how long it's going to go on for, and I think that's part of the problem as well. Not being sure, the uncertainty. But I think the most important thing is recognizing that what we have to do is for, health reasons, and therefore we have to now come up with new routines. Don't get lulled into thinking, oh, I'm at home, so I'll just lie down and not get up out of bed. Get into a routine. Behave as if you still have to get up and get to work. You'll be doing a different kind of work. You'll be working from home, but establish new routines. And especially important, having routines for children. Mm-hmm. There are lots of activities now that you have to get into online or even in the house, in the yard, whatever it is. So it's all about forming new routines that you can follow through with.
The anxiety. So we've got our routines down pat. Yes, we can get that done. But the anxiety. I work in the gig economy. All of my gigs have dried up. So what am I going to do for money? I've been laid off from work. And as you said, no one can quite tell me when everything is likely to return to normal, so I'm anxious. I have children who are either going to do the common entrance exam shortly or doing CXC and Cape. They're just at home. What's happening with them? If I miss 2 mortgage payments, what? Let's talk about that kind of anxiety that is accompanying the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, I think a lot of what makes us anxious are the things that we have no control over. And obviously we can't control, the virus from the point of view of what's going on in the world, but we can definitely control what's going on closer to home. So I think part of managing the day-to-day anxiety, separate and apart from, the new routine, is also about what can I do to make myself feel safe, make myself feel more in control. The other thing I think is important too is that for people not to think about, well, what's going to happen next month and next, 6 months. Think about getting through day to day. So today, if I have to go to the supermarket, what does that mean? What are the things I need to put in place to ensure that I can do that and protect myself as much as possible. You mentioned also, Carol, the issues around mortgages, and for a lot of us, your mortgage is the biggest expense you have every month. As you know, the government would have announced certain changes where the banks are now, I don't know if it's to say agreeing, but the banks have, on request, they're doing a 6-month moratorium, which I think was an excellent move, because most households with mortgages would find that very helpful. So that's one less thing that you have to worry about. Sometimes other simple things that I've heard people say they're going to be doing is, if you've lost your job, they're trying to find other jobs that are available now. So some people are talking about, people are doing pickup and deliveries, and so they're going to go and explore the option of getting into that. So people are finding different ways of trying to make ends meet, given the situation that we're all faced.
Now, I had nothing before. I was on the breadline before. And now this makes the specter even darker. What advice do you have for me?
I think, well, again, it's about thinking from day to day, how am I going to manage myself so that I can get through that day? And the other issue, of course, around, reaching out to people. There's nothing wrong in this situation to reach out to people and, ask for help, or you find ways in which to engage with people in your neighborhood, taking it one day at a time, I think.
Now, someone is going to say, that's easy for you to say, but you're not living my reality. What would your response be?
Yeah. Well, I think all of us have to go through some adjustments right now, right? This is a worldwide situation that we are all faced. We all have to make lots of changes. And so those of us who would manage better has to do with the people who are able to manage their anxiety better. I think if you feel, and we are going to feel overwhelmed from time to time, but you have to actually take a step back, gather yourself and say, okay, what do I need to do next? What are the important things? What are the priorities in my life? As opposed to thinking about, oh dear, what is going to happen? Because if you start going down that road of, as I was saying earlier, next week and next month, then you're really going to feel very overwhelmed. Just go one day at a time in your new routine.
I want to look at some real life scenarios. All right, so I'm indoors, but the restriction of staying indoors forces me to be in close proximity with people or a person with whom I don't have the best relationship, the most loving relationship. What should I do?
Well, I mean, what you do very much depends on the underlying nature of that relationship. Maybe this would be an opportune time for you and that person to kind of address what the issues are. I mean, you literally have not much else to do. So if that situation is, if it's possible to kind of sit down with that person and kind of talk through some of the issues that may have been festering for quite a long time, then this would be a good time to do it. Obviously, I'm not saying for people who are at the point where, you've tried many different ways in which to foster a relationship with this person, it's not working, then you don't want to force an issue, right? It may be in that situation that, if you feel that you've gone through all the different options and you just need to be peaceful as possible, given the fact that you don't have much option. You don't have many options, as we are all being told to stay at home. So as I said, if it is possible, this might be the perfect time to try to work through, talk to that person, try and come to a better understanding with that person. If, however, you feel like you've done all of that and you don't want to, or you can't try anymore, then best to be as peaceful as possible. Because what you don't want is to aggravate a situation that may then escalate.
Mm-hmm. I am in an abusive relationship, and again, the same scenario. We are stuck in the same space, initially for 2 weeks, but who knows for how long. Mm-hmm. What do I do?
Well, I think it comes back to what I was saying before. In an abusive situation where obviously life is already very difficult, I think trying to be as safe as possible is what is going to be necessary in situations like that. If where abuse is in a big part of the household, you may need to go somewhere else where you are safer. Because I don't think, yes, we have to stay at home, but the point of being at home is to be safe. If you're in an unsafe environment, then you have to find another place to call home. Mm-hmm. So in that type of situation, then by all means, I think that person would have to be by family or friends or someplace else where it's much safer than being in your house.
Situations where the simple act of going to work or going to church offered respite from having to deal with whether it be rowdy teenagers or an ailing relative, in particular those who take care of relatives with disorders like Alzheimer's. And now again, you are, and I use this word deliberately, you feel as though you're stuck at home and nothing.
Yeah, I mean, people, and the word is deliberate and it's correct because you are stuck. You are in a situation whereas before you may be able to call on a friend or another family member or caregiver to give me 2 hours so that I can go in town or go to a movie or whatever. That is not possible right now. And this is where it's helpful to be able to reach out to, family, whether it's via telephone or Skype or whatever social media, because that then becomes the way in which you're going to get a break. But we have to find new and innovative ways of getting a break because it's so important that caregivers also continue to self-care. Because as you know, you can't care for somebody else until you care for yourself first, right? Obviously, in this situation, it makes it that much more difficult, but you have to find ways of taking a break. And in this situation, a lot of that is going to be around reaching out for that social support, telephone calls, or other ways of getting in contact via social media with other people, with your friends and family.
Yeah. Managing addictions, alcohol, overeating, illegal drugs, pornography. Mm-hmm. Again, a single space for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
No distractions like work or other engagements. All of this time on your hands. How do I manage that?
Yeah, that's a really important question because a lot of times we don't really think about, how do people who are struggling with addictions and then mental health problems generally, how do you cope in a situation that is so high stressed, right? And again, we talk about reaching out to people because more than many things, I think social contact is important in helping us manage with stress and anxiety. In this situation in which you cannot physically be with people, the next best thing would be to talk to people on the phone, reach out through WhatsApp, be in your groups, form groups. In the last week, I've had to form different groups because of my associations with different people and with work and family and so on, just to be able to stay connected. And I think that is going to remain the bedrock of getting through this very difficult experience, meaning remaining in contact and ensuring that you are not socially isolated, although you may be apart from other people.
Okay. The benefits of just shutting off and disconnecting from your devices, from all the social media platforms, and focusing more on what is right before you. Mm-hmm. Let's look at that.
Yeah, I think this pandemic and us having to remain at home will be useful from the point of view of connecting more with the people with whom you live, right? How often are you going to have this opportunity to spend time with your this amount of time with your family, day in, day out? And yes, we were talking just now about the importance of reaching out through social media, but it's also important to foster relationships with the people with whom you live, and use this opportunity as that time to connect and get to know people better. I have not played so much between Monopoly, Connect Four, every board game you can think of, because I'm forced to do it. Because typically you say, well, oh, I have this, that, and the other to do, but no, you have to, you're there, you have to do it. So, and it really gives you a better understanding of your family members, your spouse, your partner, your children, and I think that's one good thing that has come out of this difficult experience.
Now, I want to go back and give you almost a part B to a question I had asked before. Living in a crowded space, and everybody individually wants their own space within that space, and they want to do what they want to do in that space. It's almost like a powder keg waiting to blow in some instances. How do you manage that?
I think literally when you have a lot of people in a small space, I think it's important that they all, and I know, people are going to say, yeah, that sounds great, but you have to sit down and talk about how you're going to share that space. Because obviously everybody cannot do what they want to do at the same time. So you're going to have to decide, okay, this is going to be my, half an hour, this is going to be, you and I could do that together, this time I'm going to do, and you have to literally come up with a rota. Because like some way of sharing the space that is fair and everybody feels, okay, we've made this decision and we're going to stick to it, and this is where we're going to get through this. Because if you don't do that, and then everybody is clamoring, everybody wants to watch TV and watch their show, and then somebody's going to get annoyed and things will escalate. So you have to make a decision about who's going to do what and when, and stick with it. Which is, of course, easy for me to say, but that is what I would recommend in that situation.
Does positive thinking work, Maisha?
Well, I hope it does, because then I wouldn't be doing this job. It's not the only thing, but it is one of the things that is necessary in order to manage. So positive thinking, yes, that's part of it. You have to have hope that this too shall pass. We will get through this. This will come to an end. And then, as I said, do all the other things that you're being told to do to ensure that we are as safe and as comfortable as possible until this pandemic ends.
I want to end by asking you to give me 5 quick tips for everyone, regardless of our situation. You're living alone, you live with a spouse and child, you live with a whole set of family and friends,
Well,
5 quick tips.
Yeah, I think 1, focus on the things that you can change. Get into and establish your new routine. Look after yourself. That includes eating well, sleeping well, getting into some good exercise. Do not be socially isolated. So although, yes, we are being told stay at home, still reach out to the people who are important to you, your family, your friends. I would also advise that people should stay informed, but not over-informed. There's no point to sitting in front of the TV and watching CNN for 8 hours straight. Those news cycles going over and over and over are not helpful to you. And I think most of all, use this time to do something good for yourself, read, journal, and look after yourself.
I want to thank you very, very much for this very useful information. Good luck with the Monopoly and stay safe.
Thank you. You too, Carol. Thank you.